And so, as Anne said, the Bank of Canada was primarily created in 1938 as a public bank to provide low and interest-free loans to the federal, provincial, and municipal governments, provided they were paid back in the next fiscal year. Maximum with the federal budget, 30%, maximum with the provincial budget, 25%. When it was created, they could also provide directly to the municipal governments. During the post-war years and into the 60s, the provinces started to complain, saying the municipalities are our creatures. Municipalities are governed by provincial law.
Somebody isn't hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, who's not here?
Hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So they removed the ability of the federal government to provide the interest-free loans directly to the municipalities. Now, that's ironic because after that, the evolution of constitutional law in Canada recognized the federal government's spending power, and the spending power to equalize services across the country was embedded in Section 36 of the Constitution Act 1982 in terms of the transfer payments. Section 36 says that the First Ministers are required to have a meeting every so often to ensure that Canadians across the country are getting comparable services at comparable levels. Not an exact science, but so that somebody in BC is not dying because they can't get a hospital while you have a Cadillac service in Ontario, for instance. So there is nothing stopping now the federal government sending the municipalities directly interest-free loans so long as it comes out of its 30% loan from the Bank of Canada. So basically, the first part of the challenge to this court action is to force the government to do what it's required to do. It's not as if we're trying to create a new law. The law has never changed since 1938. The government has simply, since 1974, chosen to ignore the law and chosen as a blanket absolute policy never to again give low or interest-free loans to the government of Canada and the provinces. Well, in constitutional terms, that's called abdicating your constitutional duty to govern. You can't do that. What's more atrocious and egregious is the fact that not only have they relinquished or abandoned their constitutional duty to govern, they've handed it over to foreign private interests. And that's a relinquishing of sovereignty. The Honorable Paul Hellyer, some of whom some people in this room know, who's the Dean of the Privy Council of Canada, he was a cabinet minister under the government of Louis Saint Laurent, is also a member of Comer. He calls this giving over Canadian sovereignty over banking to private European bankers treason. Now, while I've never said it's treason, I find it very difficult to argue with Mr. Hellyer over the point.